Egwegu. He's the policy advisor at Development Reimagined, a consultancy group focusing on international development and diplomacy. Egwegu, good to have you. Ovigwe, sorry, good to have you with us on TRT World. So first of all, just lay out for us, if you can, why it is that Rwandan troops were sent to assist the Mozambican army.
Yeah, so you have to understand that the Mozambican army is struggling with the insurgency because it has an army that was greatly demoralized for decades of civil war. So facing new threats, from terrorism, it lacked the capacity to respond effectively. So over the last period of years since the insurgency started in 2017, what we've had is a struggling military that has led to the government realizing that it needs help, it needs support from neighbors and any country that has capacity to provide that support. And one of the main things he has done is to draw on the support from the SADC, that is the Southern African Development Commission, because it's the countries most closest to Mozambique, and to a large extent, terrorism can become a regional security issue. But Rwanda is not a member of the 16-member SADC. Rwanda is in East Africa, but it has contributed even the most number of troops of, looking at the figures, in the 1,000 from Rwanda. Meanwhile, Botswana has also contributed troops to about 296. So, but Rwanda's interest in Mozambique, you can look at it from various layers. One of them is from the national interest point of view, which is you have a country like Mozambique struggling with terrorism. If you allow it to proliferate, it definitely will spread into Central Africa, because we're already seeing those radical, Islamist elements in Central Africa already, and that can pose a threat to Rwanda through Central Africa, but also through Tanzania, and that's through East Africa also, because Mozambique shares a border with Tanzania. On the second note, there's also an economic perspective, because if you look at the volume of investment in Mozambique, if that investment is about more than 50 billion in hydrocarbon and gas investment, if that investment is to materialize, of course, there will be knock-on effect on economic growth in Southern African countries. Rwanda being a good transit country will also benefit economically from a very vibrant economic activity in Southern Africa. Then there's also an military experience, an opportunity for the RODF, that is Rwanda Defense Forces, to get real combat experience. Rwanda sends a lot of troops for UN peacekeeping missions, but you can't compare peacekeeping missions to real on-the-ground kinetic, experience that the Rwandan forces, can benefit from, and they are showing their capacity already. Yeah,
that is my next question. Then I do wonder what other countries on the continent, other armies, militaries may learn from what's happened in Mozambique, that a kind of a multinational force can be effective if it does prove they have been effective against this Daesh affiliate.
Yes, it can. It can. I think one of the most important things we have to learn from this experience in Southern Africa is you see how quickly, in a few years, they've been able to build a coalition. And you even have a country like Rwanda that is not in SADC coming in to join in. It shows that Africa needs to move closer towards these regional security mechanisms, because that is the best way to ensure that regional armies can respond to threats that are shared by the region. It might not be an imminent threat to countries like Rwanda today, but it can be in the future. So it's very important that in other parts of the continent, like where I'm moving from, Nigeria, for instance, we are having this insurgency issue in the Sahel. We need a broad regional approach. We have, what we have is a blocks that France, for instance, has created with a G5 Sahel. We don't have Nigeria, for instance, which is the biggest economy in West Africa, has a very large military. You don't have Nigeria, for instance, joining in the G5 Sahel because of these geopolitical rivalries. But we're not seeing that with Southern Africa. We're seeing a very broad, a very inclusive military and security response, and that is something that the Southern African countries deserve credit for.
Absolutely. Okay. Ovigwe Egwegu from Development Reimagined, do appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for being with us.